Alright, so obviously today we are talking about sex. No, I'm just kidding. We're talking about childlikeness. We're talking about childlikeness. Everybody, you feel the tension rise in the room. Everyone's like, oh God. Alright. Okay, so I'm going to read some quotes, if you guys are cool with that. Because we're talking about childlikeness. So, if you're panicking and feel like you're dying, take deep breaths. If you're actually dying, it doesn't work. Anonymous, 10 years old. I've been having a hard day for the last 2 years. Anonymous, 4 years old. 4 years old. My life is not going as planned. Sophia, 6 years old. I'm thankful for words like awesome because without them, I would not have many words to describe myself. 8 years old. That's smart. I'm going to draw you, and then I'm going to erase you because you're not being very nice today. Peyton, 5 years old. Why does it have to be called a question mark? Why can't it be a question, David? David, 5 years old. Mark! I can't make myself like carrots. I'm not in charge of my tongue. Natalie, 8 years old. So, huh? Oh, the last one was, I can't make myself like carrots. I'm not in charge of my tongue. Natalie, 8 years old. So, as some of you guys know, my name is Jonathan. I'm the children's pastor at Presence. Some of you guys are Presence, some of you don't. That's totally cool. So basically, not of Olivia, but like anyone 12 and under, I'm kind of more or less in charge of. I need to keep track of time. Kind of more or less in charge of. I make sure they don't die. I tell all of my helpers this, like, as long as nobody dies on a Sunday, we're good. But I love kids. I love kids so much. And people ask me all the time, why do you do what you do? And I'm always like, why? So I'm going to not hit that again. But I am going to move this out of the way so I don't hit it again. People ask me all the time, why do you do what you do? And one of the reasons I tell them is I love what I do because I feel like I learn just as much from the kids as like I'm going to teach them. Like having kids talk about God, having kids talk about faith is so incredible. Like kids, one of the things we talked about tonight is kids are a lot more carefree. They don't care as much. They also are a lot more trusting. Kids kind of like just trust and they love with their entire heart. And if you tell them that they can do something, they don't have any reason not to believe you. A few years back, I had a helper in my kids' ministry. Her name is Yessie. She used to be a helper here at youth group. But I asked her she was helping one day, and I was like, hey, can you go give some of the kids prophetic words? And like stand up like kind of like this in front of them and just give a few kids prophetic words. And so she's like, sure, I can absolutely do that. So she goes up there, she gives like a kid a prophetic word and then another kid. If you don't know what a prophetic word is, it's basically God telling you something to tell somebody else. So it's like, God tells me, go tell Caden he's amazing. So then I tell Caden, God thinks you're amazing. Super simple. So she does this, and then she kind of like looks at me, and I'm like standing in the back, and she's like looks at the kids, and then she's like, who wants a prophetic word? Every kid raises their hand, they're like, oh my goodness, I want one. And then she picks a kid, and she's like, okay, you're gonna get a prophetic word, and then she's like, who wants to give a prophetic word? And the room, half the room, hands go up, and I was like, oh my gosh. And like some of these kids have never done this. Some of these kids have done it before, but some of these kids have never done it, not in front of their friends or anything. So she picks a kid, and she picks 2 kids, and she's like, hey, we're just gonna pray. We're just gonna wait. And so they kind of like sit for minutes, and they kind of like bow their head, and they're like praying. And then they give these beautiful words. They say something like really encouraging, or they saw like a picture. And then she's like, who else wants a prophetic word? Every hand goes up. She picks a kid. And then she's like, who wants to give one word? Every hand goes up. And these kids went for about 15, 20 minutes just giving each other prophetic words, telling each other how God felt about each other. These kids, we told them, hey, you can hear from God. And they trusted us. They were like, oh, we can hear from God. We can tell our friends something encouraging. We can give prophetic words. And like some of them had never done that before, but they were able to do it in front of their friends. They were able to do it in front of their teachers. And they heard from God, and they were able to tell each other these things, and it was so beautiful. So Jesus, You guys know Jesus, right? He's really cool. Jesus, his disciples come up to him and they're like, hey, we want to know. The guys have been talking, bro. We want to know who's gonna be the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. You know, like who's gonna be like the greatest? And Jesus says, he called a little child to him, and he put him in their little group. They had like a little huddle. I don't know what they had, but he put him in the middle of them. And he said, I say to you, unless you are converted and become as little children, you will by no means enter the kingdom of heaven. Whoever humbles himself as this little child, he is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. Whoever receives one little child like this in my name receives me. And then later on, it's actually kind of funny because then after he says this, later on, then like the children try to come to him to like get prayer for healing. And then the disciples are like, no, go away. And Jesus is like, no, let them come to me. Like theirs is the kingdom of heaven. You guys, I mean, when I think of like who's the greatest in the kingdom of heaven, I think of like all these like crazy speakers. It's like the dude with the microphone on stage. It's like the dude that like goes and prays for all these people. It's like some big like worship band. It's like, oh, the Chandler Moore from Maverick City. I'm like, but Jesus is like, no, the greatest in the kingdom of heaven is the one that humbles. And I'm not saying these people aren't humble like little children, but that's what I think of. I don't think of a little kid. I don't think of these like children, these children that just have faith, that are just so humble. Like as a kid, like you're not like, at least I wasn't as a kid, like, oh yeah, I'm like top dog. Whereas now I think, no, I'm just kidding. But like as a little kid, you're just like, you play, you have fun. You're not like worried about all this other stuff. There's a humility, and God loves that. He loves that freedom, that humility, and he wants to use that. About a month ago, or probably 2 months ago, 2 to 3 months ago, I woke up one morning, it was a Saturday morning. My knee was in so much pain. No reason. Like I exercise and I do different things, but like I didn't hurt it exercising. I just like it was just in so much pain. I tried to run, couldn't run. I kind of just was like this. Probably should have gotten a cane, but I didn't want to be like an old man, so I was like, I'm not gonna do that. But Sunday morning, so then that's Saturday, all day Saturday it's in pain, wake up Sunday morning, it's still in pain. I go to church and I'm teaching the kids about the blind man. And there's this blind man that comes up to Jesus, or Jesus goes up to him, and the disciples are like, hey, who sinned, this man or his parents? And Jesus is like, haha, you're funny. Neither, but this was done for the glory of God. And then he spits in dirt, makes mud, puts it on the guy's eyes. I'm just saying, guys, if Jesus would have done that in this day and age, he probably would have gotten kicked out of church. Maybe we do some weird stuff, but like, Jesus did some crazy stuff. So, if it's weird, it might be God. Anyways, that's just a complete side note. So, he does this, and he says, I think this is for the glory of God. And I'm telling this lesson, and then I'm like, oh my goodness. I was like, I didn't actually, like, did I hurt my knee, or is this just like for the glory of God? So I got kids around me to pray for my knee. This little boy named Jude came over and laid his hand on my knee, and he prayed a simple prayer, and I'm like sitting down, and I'm like sitting there. Actually, I probably had it extended because it hurt. He sticks his hand on my knee, he prays for it, and I was like, all right. And I stand up, and I was like, oh my gosh. All pain gone, my knee was completely healed. This kid prayed for my knee, completely healed. These kids, he just had faith. And he prayed for my knee, and it was completely healed. Okay. We're gonna tell another little story. But I need two volunteers. Two volunteers to be my actors. Alright, please. Isaiah, hands right.
I got my hands down.
You're on your phone though.
I'll go.
Alright, well,
Be nice. He's on his phone though. Make him. Be nice.
Get up here. Alright, you're gonna be Samuel. I need you to go and bring me home. I need you to go over here and go to sleep. And I need you to go over here and go to sleep. Okay, so this is what I do with the kids. Whenever we tell stories, I have them acted out, so it's kind of fun. And so I decided to do it tonight because why not? Plus, I have these two cuties up here, so. It's okay. We can say it out loud. Okay, so This guy, his name is
Jesus.
Samuel.
Samuel.
Oh,
It is Samuel. This guy's name is Elijah. Or no, not Eli. It was just Eli. It was just Eli. Okay, so.
You're good bad at getting head scratch.
My bad. Let me try again. Alright, well, I'm going to Eli. Okay, so Samuel and Eli. Samuel was a little boy. His mom actually she really wanted a child. Couldn't have a child. And then she prayed. She was like super bitter. She was like really sad. And she prayed and she's like, God, if you give me a child, I will dedicate him to you. She had a child. His name was Samuel. So then Samuel went to serve the priest who was Eli. Eli, I'm going to also need you to go to sleep.
Hey, let's put phones away. Let's honor Jonathan.
Yes. Alright, so wait, I need you to go to sleep. Okay, so they're asleep. They're gone. They're both asleep. You can't sleep standing up, you're not a cow.
You're not a cow, man. Bring your lemonade.
Okay, so they're both asleep. Fun fact, the verse at the beginning of this chapter in the Bible, you know what it says? You guys ready for this? 1 Samuel 3:1. Now, and the boy Samuel ministered to the Lord before Eli, and the word of the Lord was rare in those days. There was no widespread revelation. That means God wasn't talking to very many people. There wasn't very many people on the earth that God was talking to. Samuel sleep, Eli sleep, and all of a sudden, it's louder.
Samuel.
And Samuel wakes up. Samuel doesn't know what it is. So Samuel goes to Eli. Go run to Eli. Eli's over here. And he's like, Eli, you call me?
Did you call?
And Eli's like, no. I'm like 8 years old. The only thing I love is sleep. Stop trying to ruin it. Go back to bed. Go back to bed. So Samuel goes back to bed. Eli goes back to bed. Hopefully, I don't know. He might have to take some NyQuil or something. Samuel goes back to sleep. Samuel get back up. Goes back to Eli. He's like, hey, you called me. And Eli's like, no, bro, not. Bro, go to bed. Stop. Yeah, exactly. He says, go to bed.
Okay.
He probably didn't smack him. Goes back to bed. And then a third time, Samuel's chilling, sleeping. He's asleep. Kind of looks like he's dead. But he's asleep. Samuel gets up, he goes to Eli. And Eli at this point is kind of catching on. Eli's like, hey. I know I'm not calling you. Okay. Eli, can you please stop flirting with Samuel? This is awkward.
Stop talking to me. Now go to bed.
No, he didn't take it back. Okay. So Eli says, hey, I'm pretty sure you're hearing a voice from God. Go back, and when you hear the Lord call Samuel, say, Lord, your servant is listening.
Alright, go get him, Tiger.
All right. All right, that's pretty much it. So you guys can get my. Take a seat, guys. Take a seat. Okay, guys. The Bible literally says God wasn't talking to like pretty much anybody, but God decides to speak to one person, and that person was a little boy. And then actually, what he ended up telling him was that Eli's sons were really terrible and God was going to destroy them. But we're not going to talk about that right now. But God decided to speak to a little kid. I think we all think of like little kids as, I think at least I used to think of little kids as like kind of like inferior, like a little bit set to the side. Like if they did something like maybe great like every once in a while. But like you think about like some of the kids in the Bible. I mean like David was a kid when he was taking down Goliath. Samuel was a kid when God wasn't talking to anybody and God decided to speak to Samuel. He decided to talk to him. And here's the thing. This verse, of course I lost my place. This verse talks about in order to inherit the kingdom of heaven, You have to become as humble as a little kid. That's crazy. Remember the Tower of Babel? They were like literally like, we're going to try to get as high as possible so we get close to God. They didn't realize that you weren't supposed to try to get high. If you wanted to get close to God, you need to get on your knees. You need to get humble yourself as a little kid. So the aspects of a little kid, the freedom, the trust that they have, the things that they grab onto, is beautiful because that's what we're supposed to be like. All of these kids, like the Bible even says, don't even worry about what you're going to wear tomorrow. Who doesn't worry about what they wear tomorrow? Little kids. They don't worry about what they wear tomorrow. I usually spend about 3 or 4 hours thinking about what I'm wearing tomorrow. Just kidding. All right, last story, and I'll wrap up. A couple weeks ago, we had, actually not this past Sunday, not today, but last Sunday. Last Sunday, so what we do with our kids is we have a little like worship time. It's usually like a little dancing, a little jumping. Oh my God, he's so big, he's so strong. Yeah, you're welcome. So that's what our worship time is. And then we'll transition and I'll teach like a little lesson. And we'll have like the kids act out a story. It's like really fun. But for whatever reason, I had a story, but I didn't really feel like I was supposed to share it. And so I asked the kids, and I had like 15 kids in there. I was like, hey, what do you guys want to do? You know what these kids said? This group of kids. They all said, we want to worship. And I was like, okay, stop. So then I was like, kind of jokingly, actually pretty seriously though, I just started singing Move Your Heart, Move Your Heart, that's all I want to do. Anyways, you're also welcome for that. And so I started singing this song. These 15 kids that are usually wild and crazy, they all just sit and sing the song. No music. It's all a cappella. They just sit and sing the song and worship Jesus. And then another kid's like, hey, I have a song I want to sing. Start singing the song. Every kid joins in. And then a third kid's like, I have a song I want to sing. Every kid joins in. We did this for about 15 minutes where these kids, just the purity of their heart, the freedom of their minds, just worshipped Jesus. No music, nothing. And then I asked a couple of kids, I was like, hey, do you guys want to give each other prophetic words? And a couple of them gave words, and then I asked for some God stories. And I got a couple really good ones, but then there was this kid, and he's like, bro, when I was 3 years old, I went to this jacuzzi, and I took off my floaties. I wasn't supposed to take off my floaties, but I took off my floaties. I threw them, and I hopped in. And he sunk to the bottom. And he's at the bottom of this jacuzzi at 3 years old, and he looks up, and he sees this angel. And the angel's like, hey, I'm gonna need you to swim up. And he's like, I can't swim. The angel's like, oh, okay, cool. Can you walk to the stairs and climb out? And he's like, yeah, I can do that. So then he walks over the stairs, and he climbs up on them, and then he gets out, and he plops over, and he stops breathing. His brother, who's like 5 years old, comes over, prays for him. He chokes up water and comes back to life.
So he died in the pool?
No, he died outside.
Yes. Like he stopped breathing, was gone. But a kid prayed for him. And he saw an angel. So, last thing I just want to leave you guys with. There's a lot of things going on in your life. Like, there's a lot of things going on in my life. Yeah, come on, Stephen. There's a lot of things going on in my life. If you want to reach God, if you want to move God's heart, if you want to come to Him and actually have a relationship and be with Him, the way to do it is not to just like try to elevate yourself, try to do something crazy or good. The Bible literally says, humble yourself like a little child, like a kid. Don't worry about anything. Just worry about setting your eyes on Him. Worry about humbling yourself and just not caring and just trusting Him. Why? Because one of the hardest things we can do as a Christian is fully trust in God. Because we still we'll let some things, like, okay, God, I trust in you for that. But then some things we're like, I kind of want to hold on to that. So what are those areas in your life where you're like, I don't want to trust God, or like I'm still worried about, like, where do you need to just humble yourself and just let go and become like a little child, become carefree, have that joy, have that peace in your life? You know what? Because God wants that for you. He really, really does. All right, I'm going to just pray, and then we're going to worship or pray together. I'm not really sure. But if you guys don't mind, just close your eyes with me, and then we're just gonna say a prayer together, if that's cool. And you know, you don't have to say this prayer. I encourage you to, but like if you say it, really say it with your heart. Yeah, just say God. You guys can repeat after me. Say God. I fully trust in you. I want to become like a child